time ago, there was a guy who went skiing. He wanted to go down a named ski road. He got on the chairlift and rode it to the top of the mountain.
He got in a race with a Yeti. The guy flew over the finish line, but the Yeti went through the finish first. The guy didn't win because he had missed the line by flying over it.
The Yeti won a trophy and a gold medal. He celebrated by throwing the ski.
The skier went down Golden Gate Run and he rolled down, but then it started snowing and raining rocks and fish. A bolt of lightning hit one of Discovery's poles. Since the pole fell, one chair fell with a snowboarder. Luckily, he only had a headache. It was amazing. Normally, he would have died. With Discovery's pole missing, he had to go down another run. He chose Golden Gate again. This time, the Yeti was there again. The skier saw the Yeti again, but he grabbed him this time and whacked him against a tree and garbage can and threw him to where he was the end.
Behind the scenes. Jack and Emmett's story about the skier and the Yeti begins as a storyboard. The storyboard has a simple beginning, middle, and end. Jack and Emmett had a clear purpose in mind when they began their story. They really didn't need a lot of time to brainstorm their ideas and think of a good idea. They right away knew that they wanted to write about a guy who had gone skiing from a previous experience Jack had had up at Crystal Mountain. Since the events kind of followed along with Jack's experience skiing with his family, it was kind of hard for me to get them to think about maybe something that would engage their audience, the listener, or the reader into their story a little bit more. So they started to develop the story into a monster. I was thinking more like the abominable snowman, but they named him the Yeti, so I thought that was great. So really, this story ends with Jack's ending to his day up at Crystal Mountain. So really, I had to conference with them about how they would write into their story when they got into the rough draft about where the Yeti would come into play and what maybe might have happened to the Yeti and the guy that was skiing. It helped to take Jack out of the picture at that time and really make it more of a guy. Rough draft. Jack and Emmett's rough draft begins with creating a setting and characters that are slightly different than the storyboard. The two boys really had a great time and spent a lot of time with the writing and getting their ideas on paper. They could sequence their story very easily. They were organized with their work. A few of the mechanics with spelling, they used their dictionary to look up and needed a little help with identifying which words that needed to be looked up in their writing dictionary. As you can see, the word flew and went were a couple things that they fixed, but otherwise I had no problem really understanding what it was they were trying to write about. During this time is where I really started to engage the two boys in thinking about how they could make this story really interesting, and that's where they created the idea of the Yeti and starting to snow rocks, and how they could celebrate and make things more exciting, almost like James Bond type exciting stories. So I brought in a lot of books for them to read, and kind of tried to relate it to how an author writes for people to be entertained. This story definitely could have gone on, and the boys really enjoyed talking to each other and together writing this story about their ideas of the Yeti and the skier.